a behavioral economic game where you will be presented with a set of questions and a set of quiz questions. You will compete to win this book, which is written by Raghu here, who's joined us from Bangalore today. So I'll tell you a bit about Raghu. Raghu is a professor, he is a citizen, he is a columnist, and he's a professor in the Schulich School of Business in York University, Toronto, and he's done a PhD in. He's done his PhD from IIM Calcutta. But more about him from him, Raghu, why don't you tell us about yourself? Sorry, there was a little technical glitch as ever. We've seen with Rashmi that happens now. Today it happened with me. I'm really sorry about that, but I'm back with a better internet connection. So, Raghu, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? How did you come up with writing this book, Irrationally Rational, and what is it about?
Right. Thank you, Meenal. Thank you for that introduction. Though we couldn't see you, we could hear you, except there was a slight halting noise. So, well, I've been essentially an academic in my earlier life, 20 years at IIM Ahmedabad, and then I was heading ING Vaishya Bank, and then a large foundation of the GMR group. But in the meanwhile, I've also turned an author. I have written about 15 books. I'm also a columnist because I write for, I used to write for 30 years for Economic Times, Times of India, and so on, which I still blog for Times of India and write for Deccan Herald, etc. Well, this is my last book, which is essentially a COVID book, Irrationally Rational. 10 Nobel laureates script the story of behavioral economics. I wrote this book because behavioral economics has been a subject of interest increasingly, both among the young and the old, among the finance as well as non-finance professionals in practically every field of life. So, but then when I thought of, because I've been teaching behavioral economics in Europe for the last 25, 30 years, and I had a fair idea of the literature which has developed over the last 2 or 3 decades in the field of behavioral economics, because I had read probably 70-75% of the major books written by many of the people, and I could off my hat recall at least 4 or 5 Nobel laureates in economics in the last few years who were from the field of behavioral economics. So when I thought of writing, because I had written about 10 books on various other themes, and then I started thinking about this theme. I said, look, how do I write about behavioral economics? Because it's a very vast subject. It's all over the place. How do you tame it? That's when I thought of bringing the perspective of the Nobel laureates who actually brick by brick built the discipline of behavioral economics, starting from the neoclassical economics. The classical economists had some understanding of human beings, which was step by step changed by the behavioral economics. So I wrote about these 10 Nobel laureates in this little book. You see, every Nobel laureate writes thousands of papers and dozens of books. Now, from that, in a single book to capture 10 Nobel laureates is a bloody joke. But that is why it's irrationally rational, okay? You're trying to make sense out of something which doesn't seem to make sense at all, and that's what this book is all about. Now, for those of you who are not very conversant with what could it possibly mean to talk about behavioral economics, I'll just give one example. Now, classical economists will tell us a loss is a loss. If you have X amount of loss, you feel Y amount of regret or badness or bad feeling or whatever in your heart. because the loss determines how bad you feel. Now, I give an example. Supposing Meenal here and I are both in the same city. Let us say we are both in Kashmir, and we both have a flight to catch. And we move towards the airport. We both have the same time at, let us say, 8 o'clock to catch the flight in the evening. But she is going to Delhi, I am going to Bombay from Srinagar. So we both start for the airport. But as it happens, somewhere on the way, because we were coming from maybe, Gulmarg or Yusmarg or whatever, and there was some landslide somewhere on the way, and there was a long queue built up, and we were 4 hours late to the airport, which happens maybe once in a century, but it does happen sometimes because you can't turn back. There are vehicles already behind you. So you reach the airport at 12 o'clock in the night. We both of us reached the airport at 12 o'clock in the night. I am told, oh, sorry, sir, your flight to Mumbai left sharp at 8 o'clock. Just too bad. Meenal is told, oh, ma'am, you are so unlucky. Your flight left only 5 minutes ago. If you had just been here 5 minutes earlier, we could have somehow squeezed you into the flight. Now, the question is, which of us feels the greater regret? Now, it goes without saying that Meenal will feel terrible having just missed the flight, whereas I wasn't even expecting to catch the flight. So I'm okay. But our losses are the same. We have both lost a plane ticket. We both have to come back and stay one extra night and again go back to the airport next morning. So all the financial implications are identical. Neoclassical economics will tell us that we should have equal amount of regret. But our regrets are not equal. Meenal feels far more terrible than I do because she missed her flight only by 5 minutes, which means behaviorally, we all behave in a certain manner in a systemic way, because 95 out of 100 are likely to feel worse if they miss the flight by 5 minutes versus especially after 4-hour delay. Whereas, for those whom the flight left on time don't feel that much of regret. So now the question is, are most people irrational to feel worse in one case and not so bad in the other case? Or is that the rational behavior and the neoclassical economists were wrong to predict that both will feel equally bad? So those are the kinds of questions that we deal with. And in this book, we capture a variety of such inconsistencies which are inbuilt into the human beings, because human beings are very, very complex organisms as compared to simple animals like rats. Like rats have been found to be rational in the sense, they behave very consistently in a predictable manner and so forth, which I can't go into now because you will read the book, if and when you come across it. But behavioral economics is essentially a field explaining this kind of dichotomies in real behavior versus the assumed behavior by the classical economists. So, well, that's about the book. So, Meenal, shall I move forward now, or how do we?
Yes. I just wanted to say that I think you've perfectly called it Irrationally Rational. It's like the correct name that could be given to the book. Yes. So all the winners of our today's quiz, the 3 of you, you're going to win this book by Raghu. And just before we start the quiz, I want to tell you all that it's going to be a slightly different quiz. We have about 16 poll questions for you. We usually have 2 to 3 poll questions, but this time we have 16 poll questions, and these poll questions will all be some situation based. So you'll first be presented with a situation, and followed by that, the poll question will come up, and you just have to put in you have to choose your answer that you feel that you do in that particular situation. So there's no right and wrong for these sort of questions. The first 16 questions, there's no right and wrong. There are no scores involved, but we really recommend that all of you do take part in it and tell us your options. What would you choose? Because when we move on to our actual quiz, which will involve 8 questions right after the poll questions, those 8 questions will actually determine the winner of the quiz. And it's really important that all of you answer the first 16 poll questions. And I think Raghu here can tell us more about what exactly you need to expect. I just want to tell you that if you feel something is, you're not understanding what to do, just put it in the chat box and we'll try to answer that there and then. Or if you have any questions for Raghu, also put it in the chat box and we'll be happy to answer. Raghu, I think you can take over and you can start the quiz.
Great, Meenal. Fantastic. I think you have summed up the way forward fairly aptly. As Meenal has rightly said, there are two sets of questions. Polling questions and then the quiz questions. As Meenal said, polling questions, there's nothing like right or wrong. It's just what you feel, what you think. It is during the quiz section that we will be analyzing the results of the polling questions. And also, again, as Meenal rightly urged you, please do participate fully in trying to respond to the polling questions, because that's the basis on which we will collect how human beings generally behave, because you are an average representative of people in general. So as far as instructions for the quiz questions are concerned, we will elaborate it a little bit more just before the quiz proper begins. But in the meanwhile, I think what we have said so far is essentially enough. There are 16 questions which will be of a probabilistic kind. It will tell you, for example, that there is a 10% chance of your getting so much money or a 90% chance of getting so much money. Now, how do you interpret that 10% or 90% in your mind? It is like throwing a 10-sided die, and if a particular pre-chosen number appears on top, then the event of 1 by 10 has happened. Or if you take 10 chits and write your name in one of them and fold all of them and put it in a bottle and give it a shake and close your eyes and pick up your one of the chits, and if that chit happens to have your name written on it, then an event of the probability of 1 by 10 has happened. So there are various ways to think about the probabilistic nature of the events, but I'm just giving you some idea of how to think about the percentages of probabilities with which various options will be associated. So I hope that's clear. So Meenal, we can start then.
Yes.
Shall I share the screen?
Yes. Let's begin. Yeah.
All right, here you go. This is your first question. I'll take it slow. In a gambling stall, you are in a fair and you enter a gambling stall. Would you accept a gamble which offers a 10% chance to win 950 rupees and a 90% chance of losing 50 rupees? So you have a 10% chance to win 950 rupees and a 90% chance of losing 50 rupees, which means 10 numbers are written and thrown in. If a particular number appears, you will get 950. If any of the other 9 numbers appear, you will lose 50 rupees. So will you play this game or not? Yes or no is what you are going to choose. All right. You have taken a difficult qualifying exam. You've taken a very difficult exam. It could be professional or academic. You are exhausted and it is end of the semester. It's around September. You've just got the result of your exam and you have passed the exam. You just got the result and you have passed it. At this point, a travel agent presents you an opportunity to buy a very attractive 5-day package to Andamans for a vacation at a very attractive price during Christmas vacation. The attractive offer expires tomorrow. So you have to choose it immediately. Given this situation, will you buy the vacation package? Will you not buy the package? Will you pay rupees 500, a non-refundable fee, to retain the rights for the package on the same attractive terms? That is postponing the decisions. You read it again and remember, many of the questions as you go along may sound vaguely familiar, as if they are similar to what you've seen earlier, but no, they are not. Please read them all carefully before you respond. So look at this for another few seconds before I move on. So you pass the exam. Will you buy the package? Will you not buy the vacation package? Or will you pay 500 rupees to postpone the decision? Right. Please. All right. Here, read this. You are about to purchase a shirt for rupees 2000 in a mall. The salesman tells you that the shirt you are buying is on sale for rupees 1450 only at another branch of the same store at another mall, located about 20 minutes drive away. Will you switch your purchase to that other mall? That's the question. So you are in a mall, 2000 rupees is the shirt, but you are told that it's available for 1450 at another mall 20 minutes away. Will you go to the other mall to buy that shirt? Yes or no is what you have to answer. Will you purchase from another mall? Will you go there? You have decided to see a movie and you're paid for an advance ticket for rupees 500, which means you have a 500 rupee worth of an advance ticket in your pocket. When you reach the multiplex, you find you have lost that ticket. The question is, will you buy another ticket to see the movie? That's a clear question. You lost the ticket, advance ticket. Will you buy another ticket to see the movie? A pandemic is expected to hit your town, and it is estimated to kill 600 people in your town. There are two vaccines available, A or B. Which of the two will you choose? Vaccine A, if it is used, 200 people will be saved. If vaccine B is used, there is a 1/3 chance that all 600 will be saved, and there's a 2/3 chance that nobody will be saved. I repeat, the pandemic is likely to kill 600 people. There are 2 vaccines available to fight the pandemic. If vaccine A is used, 200 will be saved. If B is used, there's a 1/3 chance that all 600 will be saved and 2/3 chance that nobody will be saved. Do you prefer program A, look at it carefully, or program B? All right. In addition to whatever you may have, money that you may have with you, I give you an additional rupees 1,000. So now you're 1,000 richer than before. Now I say, would you want to receive another 1,000 rupees at the toss of a coin? That is 50% chance. Heads, you get 1,000 rupees. Tails, you get nothing. Which means there's a 1,000, the 50% chance that you can win 1,000 rupees or receive 500 rupee outright. So you can either take 500 rupees and walk out, or at the toss of a coin, choose to receive 1,000 rupees. Will you prefer A or will you prefer B? That's the question. Yeah. Will you play a game of coin toss in which if it is heads, you will win 10,000 rupees, and if it's tails, you will have to pay me 10,000 rupees. So we toss a coin. If it's heads, I will give you 10,000 rupees. If it is tails, you have to give me 10,000 rupees. Will you play that game? That's the question. Simple. Move next. You are a judge. You are presiding over a very complex case which involves awarding a child's custody to one of the fighting parents. The case is very complex on many socio-economic and moral reasons, and one is expected to make one's call based on the following information on the 2 parents. One of the parent has average income, average health, works an average working hours of 8 hours a day, has reasonable rapport with the child, and has fairly reasonably stable social life. The other parent has much above average income, but some minor health problems, has lots of work-related travel, hectic travel schedule, but very close bonding with the child, and has a very hectic social life also. So these are the 2 parents. One parent has average income, average health, works average working hours, reasonable rapport with the child, and has a relatively stable social life. The other parent has much above the average income, some minor health problems, has a lot of work-related travel, but very close bond with the child, and a very hectic social life. To which of the 2 parents will you award the child? Will you give the child to parent A or to parent B? That's the question. I'll leave it here for a few seconds for you to absorb it before I move. The same as before, you've taken a difficult exam, you're exhausted and it is end of the first semester. Results won't be out until a week later. So you don't know whether you're passed or failed. The results will be out only a week later. If you fail, you have to take the exam once again 2 months later. But at this moment, your travel agent has come out with their Andaman's vacation plan for the Christmas. The attractive offer expires tomorrow. The exam results are available only a week later. So will you buy the vacation package? Will you not buy the vacation package? Or will you pay a non-refundable fee of 500 rupees to postpone the decision? You've seen this situation earlier, except that here you don't know whether you passed or failed the exam. And the question is, will you take the package, reject the package, or pay a non-refundable fee of 500? That's the question. So will you select A, B, or C? That's the question. Would you pay rupees 50 to buy a lottery ticket that offers a 10% chance to win 1000 rupee and a 90% chance that you'll win nothing? Obviously, there's only a 10% chance to win rupees 1000, which means there's a 90% chance that you will win nothing. Will you buy the lottery ticket or not? You're buying a Suzuki car. The car costs 6 lakh rupees. You are sitting in the showroom and the showroom finally tells you a little later that the floor mats will cost you an extra 550 rupees. You have to pay over and above the car price of 6 lakh. But waiting at the showroom, you've been Googling and you find that 20 minutes away, there is another showroom where the floor mats are thrown in at the same price of 6 lakh, but you don't have to pay extra for the floor mats. The question is, will you drive over to the other dealer and junk the current dealer where you have done some of the paperwork and you are waiting to formalize the deal? So 6 lakh rupees is the car, 550 rupees is the mat. The question is, will you drive 20 minutes to another dealer who gives the floor mats free? Now, you have decided to see a movie where the ticket is rupees 500. When you reach the multiplex, you find that you have lost cash. A 500 rupee note is missing from your wallet. You don't know where you dropped it. The question, will you buy a ticket to see the movie? Yes or no? You lost in cash. Will you see the movie by paying another 500 rupees because you lost 500 rupees? Will you see the movie or not? We are coming fairly close to the end of the questions. We are already on question number 13. After this, 3 more to go. COVID, the pandemic is expected to hit your town, estimated to kill the same 600 people. So 600 people will die if nothing is done. Which of the following 2 strategies, these are strategy C and strategy D, will you recommend to combat the epidemic given the following information? If vaccine C is used, 400 will die. But if vaccine D is used, there's a 1/3 chance that nobody will die. And there is a 2/3 chance that 600 will die. I repeat, the pandemic likely to kill 600 people. If vaccine C is used, 400 are going to die. If vaccine D is used, there's a 1/3 chance that nobody will die and 2/3 chance that 600 will die. Do you prefer program C or program D? In addition to what you have, I give you 2,000 rupees. Now I ask you, you can either give me back 1,000 rupee at the toss of a coin. That is with a 50% chance you pay me back 1,000 rupees. Or give me 500 rupees straight away. No tossing of coin involved. So in addition to your current wealth, I give you 2,000 rupees first. Then I ask you, you can give me either 1,000 rupee back with a 50% chance or give me 500 rupee outright. Will you prefer A or will you prefer B? Take a look. Again, you are a judge. The same case, but with some differences. You have to, in this case, it's not a question of child custody. It is which parent will you deny the child to? You have to take a decision on which parent to deny the custody of the child. Parent A has average income, average health, works average hours, has average rapport with the child and a relatively stable social life. Parent B has above average income, some minor health problems, lots of work-related travel, close bond with the child, and a very hectic social life. To which parent between these two, A and B, will you deny the child? That's the question. Last question now. This is the last of the polling questions. You've taken the same difficult qualifying exam, end of semester, but this time you have got the result and you have failed the exam. Okay, you have failed the exam. And this is when our travel agency chooses to offer you a very attractive 5-day vacation package to Andamans. The attractive offer will expire tomorrow. Will you buy the vacation package? You failed the exam, mind you. Will you buy the vacation package? Will you not buy the vacation package? Or will you pay rupees 500 to postpone your decision? A, B, or C? Outstanding. Well, that's the end of the polling questions. Thank you very much. I think we have a good turnout of about 50 people and we have all the responses ready. And now is when the analysis as well as the quiz will commence. Look, as far as the quiz is concerned, what we are going to do is we will be showing you the results of the responses from your polling responses earlier. And then I will ask you that the dichotomy, if any, in the responses, what is it that those two, supposing 2 or 3 questions together, trying to assess in behavioral economics sense. So your answer has to be, what is it that the question is trying to capture, which will become a little more self-explanatory as we go along. Just look at this. And obviously, the quickest fingers will be awarded. Quickest and the right fingers. Look at this. Now we have this question here. In a gambling stall, would you accept a gamble that offers 10% chance to win 950 and 90% chance? Now here, your responses were 42% yes and 58% no. 42% yes and 58% no. Whereas in the second question, 10, would you pay rupees 50 to buy a lottery that offers a 10% chance to win 1,000 and 90% chance to win nothing? The response is 60% yes and 40% no, indicating that the response patterns have somewhat flipped. The fact is, both of them exactly give you the same opportunity to win an expected amount of 50 rupees. 10% of 950 is 95, minus a 90% loss of 50 is minus 45. So 95 minus 45 is 50 rupees. Here also 10% of 1000 is 100. And 10% of, yes, is 100, but you're paying 50 rupees to buy the ticket, so your net gain is 50. In both of them, the net gain is 50, but the response patterns have somewhat flipped. Earlier it was 58 and 42, now it is 42 and 58, now it is 60 and 40. Now the question is, which of these 4 effects were we trying to capture in that question number 1 and question number 10? That is what you have to answer. You see that the answer is cost-loss discrepancy. This dichotomy happens because in one case you are looking at it as a loss incurred. In the other case, you are looking at it as a cost of a lottery ticket. So the way we perceive cost and the way we perceive losses are not necessarily identical, and that is what causes that dichotomy. So there you have your top 5. We move there. We had 3 questions. In one case, the result wasn't to be out until a week later. In one case, you had passed the exam. In the other case, you had failed the exam. Now, when you had passed the exam, you can write it down on your paper because I can't put it on this thing. 31% of you had said option A, that you will buy it. 37% had said option B, not buy it. 31% had said that you will postpone. So there were 31% of you who said you will postpone. However, in question number 2, where you had passed the examination, the results were 38%, 36%, and 26%. That 31% in option C had become 26% in the next one. But when you are failing the exam, the percentage were 45% for A, 27% for B, and 27% for C. 27. Now, what is important is to note that when the exam results were not out, the percentage was higher, 31%. But when the results are known, the postponement drops from 31% to 26 or 27%. So what is going on? Why should? Because the fact is, whether you passed or you failed, in both the cases, your responses are more or less similar. 26, 27% of you will want to postpone. But when the result was not known, a higher percentages of you wanted to postpone the decision. What does this capture? This phenomenon captures which of the following four behavioral economic situations? Reflection effect, randomness, success failure, disjunction. So you can see that there's a disjunction. The reason is whether you pass or you fail is immaterial to your postponement, because the same percentage of people have said they will postpone, 26 or 27%. But when the result was not known, the percentage was much higher of postponement. The reason is when you pass the exam, you say, oh, I don't need a vacation, I'm anyway feeling good. Or when you failed the exam, you say, oh, I failed, what is there to celebrate? So I will not postpone, I will anyway take a call right away. But when the result is unknown, there is the uncertainty in the mind about the result, which plays some funny role of its own and makes more of you postpone the choice. And that is a kind of a disjunction which the unknowability of the result creates in your mind. So that is what it was. There you go. Here again. You're about to purchase a shirt for 2,000. In the other case, you're buying a Suzuki car. Now, mind you, in the first case, 62% of you said yes, you will move to the other shop. 38% said no, you will not move. So you are saving 550 rupees here to buy the other shirt. 62% say that yes, you will move to the other shop. 38% say that no, you will not move to the other shop. However, when it comes to the 6 lakh rupee car, and the floor mats are also going to cost you 550. So if you move to the other shop, you will save 550 rupees because it is thrown into the price itself. Whereas here you are paying explicitly. But here only 37% said that they will move to the other shop. 63% said that they will not move. So exactly flipped. Here it was 62 and 38%, whereas here it is 37 and 63%. In both the cases, by moving to the other shop, you were saving 550. In both the cases, your wealth levels are the same. But what the mind does is when you're purchasing something very large, 550 looks like a very small amount. So you say, what the heck, for 550 bucks for a 6 lakh car, who's going to drive elsewhere? But when you're buying a 2,000 rupee shirt, a 1450 rupee shirt looks very attractive to you. So you would rather drive to the other car, even though the money involved is the same in both the cases. So this effect is what? Topical accounting effect, disjunctive effect, accounting effect, mental accounting effect. There you go. It was topical accounting. It is contextual. It is contextual to, are you dealing with some small purchase or a large purchase? That is why when you buy an expensive car and the dealer says, okay, I will also do the insurance for you, you should keep track. If you do it on policybazaar.com, the same policy will get at 1/3 of the price than what the dealer will be charging you. Because at the time of a car purchase, whether it is 35,000 or 14,000, you don't even care, because 13,000 or 14,000 or 30,000 is such a small fraction of the total price of the car that you end up buying very expensive insurance or expensive accessories. While if you drive another 1 kilometer away, the accessory shops will probably sell you the same accessories at half the price. So one has to be careful. So the mind does play these topical accounting effects. Great. We move. You were going to see a movie. In the first case, you had lost the ticket. In the other case, you had lost money worth 500. So in one case, it is the ticket. In the other case, it is the money. Here, 30% of you said you will see, whereas 70% said that you will not buy another ticket. 30% said that they will buy another ticket to see the play, whereas 70% said that they will not. In the second case, 55% said that they will buy another ticket, whereas 45% said they will not buy another ticket. Again, it has flipped. Earlier it was 30 and 70, now it is 55 and 45. The 30 becomes 55. More than half the people are willing to pay another 500 rupees. But the loss, logically, as classical economists will tell you, is 500 rupee. Whether it was an advance ticket or whether it is cash, the loss is exactly 500. You are out of pocket by 500 in both the cases. So what is this? Which of the effects is creating this kind of a dichotomy? Framing effect, topical accounting effect, mental accounting effect, loss aversion. Yeah, you can see that what is happening is mental accounting. Because mentally you say, oh, you know, the play is worth 500 rupees, but the play is not worth 1,000 rupees. So less number of you are willing to pay. Only 30% of you are willing to pay for the play again 500 rupees when you had lost an advance ticket. But in the mind, the cash loss is a general account. Shit happens. People do lose money. Anyway, I've come to see the movie. Let me, have a good time. And why should I screw my happiness by not seeing the movie? So you're very happy. 70% of you 55% of you end up paying for the same play when you had lost 500 rupee, while you were not willing to pay that when you had lost a ticket, advance ticket of 500 rupee. So this is mental accounting going on. For instance, sometimes we save money for a housing. So we have money saved for housing. Now you want to buy a car. Actually, you can withdraw the money from the money that you are saving for the house, but no, we would rather take a loan for the car. So in our mind, saving for the house is different from investing the same money in a car, because the mental accounts they work differently, and that is what we have captured here. Okay, there you are in the races. We go further. You see question number 5 and question number 13. Question number 5, we said vaccine A, 200 will be saved. Vaccine B, 1/3 chance that 600 will be saved. 2/3 chance that nobody will be saved. Vaccine C, 400 will die. Vaccine D, 1/3 chance that nobody will die. 2/3 chance that 600 will die. Let us look at your responses. What happened here? And 13, yes, very interesting again. You see, in question number 5, when we said 200 will be saved, or 1/3 chance that 600 will be saved, and 2/3 chance that nobody will be saved, 60% of you went for A. 60% for A, only 40% for B. Now, if you look at these two options, they are actually identical. Out of the 600 who are likely to die, here we say 200 will be saved. Here we say 400 will die. Obviously, if 200 will be saved, then 400 will die. That is what this says. C. D. Here we are saying 1/3 chance that all 600 will be saved. Here we are saying 1/3 chance that nobody will die. It's the same thing, basically. And here we are saying 2/3 chance that nobody will be saved. Here we are saying that 2/3 chance that 600 will die, which is exactly the same thing. So A is identical to C, B is identical to D, except that the data here is presented in terms of lives saved. But here data is presented in terms of the number of people died. But for C and D, the answers are, here it was 60 and 40%. Here it is 44 and 56%. 44 and 56. So you can see that when the data is presented in terms of lives saved, the responses were different. But when the same data was identical, and this incidentally in the original research was presented to doctors. The doctors were drawn from the same population. The two samples were identical population. Some doctors, majority went for A, but in the other group, majority went for D, which obviously shows, now if you say this is irrational, then we have something to worry about. That means doctors are irrational. But that's how the human mind works. So an insurance salesman may want to think whether he wants to sell insurance in the name of death, by the scare of death, or by the benefits to the living. So there are implications there. What does this capture? Of course, I'm giving you clues in my explanations also. Is it the framing effect? Is it the death versus life effect? Is it mental accounting? Is it reflection? Framing. Whether you frame the, you see, now there are many implications. There are all kinds of researches carried out. People do researches all the time. But whether the questionnaire is framed in one way or it is framed in another way can make a difference to the results. So obviously these are important games that minds play if we are not careful. So this is indeed a framing effect. How, see, neoclassical economists will say, reality is reality, no matter how you couch it. Efficient, smart, rational people, decision makers will quickly see through it and will not be fooled. But the fact is, mind does play tricks with us, and how you frame a question does matter, and that is what this pair of questions were all about. We are coming towards the end. We are there. And this is the penultimate pair, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe one more to go. Right. First one I said, in addition to what you have, I am giving you another 1,000 with a 50% chance. Or you can receive 500 rupee outright. In the second case, I was saying, so in the second case, we are saying, in addition to what you have, I'm giving you 2,000 rupees. But now I'm asking you, please give me 1,000 back with a 50% chance, or 500 rupee outright. Now, look at this. If you think through carefully, 6 and 14, where is 14? Yeah. Okay. Here the contrast is less striking, but still fairly notable. Look at this. Both are actually identical. You see, in both the cases here, there's a 50% chance that you'll be left with 2,000 rupee at the end, because 1,000 you are already have given you. There's another 1,000. So the probability that you'll have 2,000 at the end of the game is 50%. Or you will be left with only 500 rupees, because out of the 1,000 you can, 1,500 rupees, because 1,000 plus another 500 outright. So you may have 2,000 with a 50% chance or 1,500 with certainty. The response was 47% and 53%. 47% said A, 53% said B. All right. However, when it came to saying that, look, I'm first giving you 2,000 rupees. Now I'm asking you to give me back 1,000 back, which means there is still a 50% chance that you will still have 2,000 rupees with you, because there's a 50% chance that you will have to give away nothing. So there is a 50% chance that you'll be left with 2,000 rupees, or there is a cent% chance that you'll have 1,500 rupees. 2,000 you are anyway given, and you are paying me 500 outright. So both of these are identical. Earlier there were 47% for A and 53% for B. But now this number from 47% falls to 34% and 66%, sorry, I think I jumped. Something happened. My mistake. Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh my God.
that's okay. That's okay.
I don't know why this happened. I didn't think I had done anything. No, I can't start.
Yes, it's okay. It's okay, Raghu. I think you ended the game by clicking on OK. What we can do is, I think we were just left with 2 questions.
All
So
right,
what
I will just give that, because I have the responses. So I will complete that anyway. Nothing lost, not to worry.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll at the back end check who won for the first 6 questions. So I think we could declare the winner through the first 6 questions also.
Okay, all right. Okay, but you understood that in this 2 questions that we talked about, which is first you were given 1,000 and you were to give back. In the second case, you were given 2,000. No, first you were given 1,000 and you were to get another 1,000 with a 50% chance. In the second case, I gave you 2,000 and you were to return. The responses changed from 34%, from 47%, it came down to 34%. Now, there was the other question about the judge. In one case, you were giving award of the child to one of the parents. In the other case, you were denying custody of the child to one of the parents. And in your case, in first case, you said 46% will be awarded, yes, and 54 for the parent B. 46% for parent A and 54% for parent B. But when it came to denying the child custody, the results again said 46 and 54, but for denying. If you were giving 46% of you for awarding the custody to parent A, that implies 54% should be denying parent B. But the responses are exactly flipped, which means when the question is asked in terms of which parent will you award the child, the response is different. But when you are asked which parent will you deny the child's custody, the response was different. And I think the last question was the difficult exam. No, that we have already covered. That's it. I think it was the last question. I'm sorry, instead of 7 pairs, we stopped at 6 pairs, but I mean, not too big a loss. I don't know how that mistake happened, but anyway. Now, what you have figured out is we are seeing live, you see, and the more the people, and ideally the same questions, the same pairs of questions should not be asked of the same participants. Ideally, one should draw 2 different samples from a similar population, similar kind of college students, youth, or young professionals, or whatever, in 2 different groups, and then poll the questions, that will be even more effective. Here we have taken the same 50 people, and in a matter of 45 minutes, we have played 16 questions. All of you are bright, young, I would say irrational professionals by a far shot. But our results seem inconsistent going by the definition of the neoclassicists. That is why the book has been called Irrationally Rational. The neoclassicists may say that our results here changing from death to life or from custody to denial and so on is all irrational, but that is not so. Perfectly rational people, including doctors, do switch their minds depending on how questions are posed and so forth. So that's exactly what we mean here by saying that human mind is a complex animal and it plays tricks. Let me now give you a few more examples before we close.
Raghu?
Yeah?
I'm sorry to cut you. Can we just declare the winners first?
Oh, sure.
Yes, we'll just declare the winners and then you can take a few minutes to...
Makes sense.
Yes. So here at the third position, we have Sharwani today. Second position is Abhishek. And the winner of today's quiz is Tushar. Congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations to all three. Outstanding. Very well.
Aditya and Gupta are the runners-up. And so you can claim your prize with the link which is given in the chat box. And Raghu will now share his views about some of the effects that he's talked about. So I request you to stay on and listen to him because I think this is a session that we thought will be different for our audience. We thought that instead of doing a regular game of facts, let's do something different. And we're glad that you liked it. So Raghu, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Meenal. Congratulations once again to every participant, not just, everybody is a winner in that sense. So because we are irrationally rational. So there you go. Right. You see, economists keep telling us the value of something is very absolute, as if I ask you what is the value of a Coke, what is the value of a Coke? Somebody may say 35 rupees. Okay. If you are terribly thirsty and sitting on a beach, you may be willing to pay a little more. You may be willing to pay $50 for a Coke. Now, economists tell us that we take all decisions to maximize utility, the satisfaction level for ourselves. Now I ask a simple question. Supposing you are sitting on a beach, you are thirsty, you want to have a cold can of Coke right there sitting at the beach, and your friend is walking up to the main road, and you are asking your friend, hey, you're going to the main road, will you please fetch me a cold can of Coke? Your friend tells you, hey, look, there is no other shop, but there's only a Taj out there. But I can always take away the Coke. So how much are you willing to pay max? You will quote some amount, X. But supposing your friend tells you, okay, sure, I'm going to the road. There is a small thela wala. He does have a big ice box. He keeps cold drinks there. I'll get you a can of Coke. How much are you willing to pay? You will give some amount. Why? Now I ask you, when it is the Taj, what is the amount that you are likely to suggest to your friend as a maximum that you're willing to pay? And what is it that you're willing to pay as a maximum amount if it is a small thela wala standing there, who also sells the same can of Coke? So cleanliness is not an issue because it's canned product. Ambience is not an issue because you're not drinking the Coke inside the Taj. Service is not an issue because it's your friend who's going to get it across to you at the beach. So neoclassical economists will say your value for the product is identical no matter what the situation. But in reality, will you not give a higher budget in case it's the Taj where it's to be bought from versus the thela where your friend is going to buy it from? You say if it's a Taj, you may say, all right, yeah, max 120 rupees I'm willing to pay. But if it is a thela wala, you will say, okay, not more than $50. You are putting some value judgment. You are saying a Taj has higher overheads. They in general anyway charge much higher because of these extra overheads for the ambience and so on. Whereas the Telawala, he has no overheads, he has no business, normal price is 35. Why should he charge anything more than 50? It is extortionist pricing if he also charges 120 rupees. You will not pay 120 to the Telawala, but you'll pay 120 to the Taj. Now, what is going on? What kind of a thing is happening? You are suddenly bringing value judgment. You are bringing fairness of it. You are bringing exploitation element. You are saying, I don't want to be exploited by a Telawala who is trying to extort 120 bucks out of me just because I'm stuck here on a beach and I'm thirsty for a Coke. So, which means now, is this an irrational reaction on our part that we will give higher amount to the Taj but a lower amount to the Telawala? Which most of us may do, not everyone necessarily, but maybe 8 out of 10 will probably end up doing that. So you're beginning to see how some of these things play a trick in our lives. You already saw the example of going to the airport. You've seen some of the tricks that mental accounting plays. There are things like peak and rule. How a lot of tests are being carried out where you get the same experience. Supposing you listen to songs, you listen to some outstanding songs at the beginning of the 40-minute that you're listening to the songs, but towards the end, the songs are getting worse and worse. Another experience, the bad songs are at the beginning, but the same set of total songs are the same, but the great hits are towards the end. And if you're asked at the end of the two experiences, which one did you enjoy more? Most people who end with the great songs feel they had a better time than those who ended with the worst songs. This Kahneman and Tversky call it the peak end rule. Where the experience peaks and how the experience ends. In an interview, how you do towards the end lingers longer in the interviewer's mind than how you begin. So, actually even beginning may be important. It's not that beginning is not important, but the ending is sometimes even more important, more often than not. So that is why even in news articles and so on, it is often told to the news writers, beginning of an article and the end of an article should be very, very eye-catching. People are not so focused on what happens in the middle. So, of course, these are general observations. This is not necessarily true under every situation and so forth. You see, then there are other things, there are things like nudging, very gently pushing you in a certain direction. For example, in Bangalore, and many of the traffic signals, they put mannequins of policemen. Because by putting the mannequin of a policeman standing at the crossing center under an umbrella, suddenly people think, oh my God, there's a cop-like thing there. And even if you know it is a mannequin, you tend to slow down. You tend not to jump the red light. So you're being nudged. And these are real life experiences. There is nothing irrational about them. In fact, there was one artist in Bangalore who, in front of a 3-foot big pothole, made a huge alligator out of plaster of Paris and placed it there. And it was covered by every newspaper. You could have given enormous amount of data that there are 3,000 potholes in Bangalore and the BBMP has not been fixing it and so on and so forth. It wouldn't have had the same effect as the nudge of putting an alligator in front of a pool of water, which was a big enough pothole, made a very strong statement. And the mind tends to capture that image and lingers with it. I could go on, but our hour is more or less up. Actually, we have already overshot. And that is what the book is all about. Particularly, of course, if you're a serious student of understanding behavioral economics, you should read the book in its entirety. But those who are more interested in the more funky results can look at Kahneman's chapter and Thaler's chapter, Richard Thaler's. These will give you the funkier examples that we often talk about in behavioral economics. And I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope you'll enjoy the book. Thank you very much. Thank you, Meenal, and your team for an outstanding job. My apologies for that goof up at the last question, I was rational most of the way, but then there was a tad irrational towards the end. So I think I lived up to the name of the title of my book. Thank you all so very much. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Raghu, for joining today for this special edition quiz. I think the audience also enjoyed. We still have quite a few with us who are actually very keen on listening to you, and we're very glad that you could be here. Thank you for all that you've shared with us. And that glitch, I think a game of facts is never complete without a glitch. So that is perfectly all right. And we look forward to having you again sometime soon. Thank you so much for joining.
Delighted. It's been such a pleasurable experience, Meenal. Thank you, and thank your team.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Have a lovely day, my friends. Unfortunately, I can't see you, but it's been such a pleasure. How do we leave?